Welcome to Lou Cartoons. I'm Looney Lou, and today I'm flapping my gums about drivetrains yet again. Front wheel drive versus all wheel drive. What's the difference? Which one should you learn to drive? Well, both. I'll answer that question, but I'm going to show you the difference by driving in-game for a while and just kind of talking my way through what's going on with these. Which one's best for you and which one you should start with learning on? I'll answer towards the end of the video, but I'm going to give you the tools you need and the information you need to be able to make that decision yourself, just in case you disagree with me. Now, I'll say now before I forget, hit the subscribe button, otherwise you might not be able to find me again. On top of that, if you do find something in this video helpful, drop a like. If you have any questions, don't be afraid of the comments section. We are your friends, okay? This is a safe learning environment. So, first things first, what is the difference between all-wheel drive and a front-wheel drive car? Very simple. Let's say you take your car, you drive it to the mechanic shop, and they lift it up onto a hoist so that all four wheels are suspended in the air. You start the car, you put it in gear or put it in drive, whatever, gas it and dump the clutch, okay? In a front wheel drive car, only the front wheels are gonna spin, both front wheels, because they're on the same axle, a metal bar that goes between them. If you're in an all-wheel drive car and you do the same thing, all four wheels are going to spin, front and rear, okay? In contrast to that, a rear wheel drive car, if you gassed it, you could probably figure this out, but only the rear wheels would spin. Now that we understand that, when you gas it in a front wheel drive car, you are pulling your car along. It is basically a gigantic metal land lawn dart. I don't know how else to explain it. It's very stable, it's very easy to drive, it's a very forgiving type of drivetrain. And if you're trying to figure out how to race, it's a very good way to get good at thinking outside the car, because there's not really much going on. There's not an excessive amount of technique. Like there is, you still got a left foot brake, you still got a Scandinavian flick and like mind your throttle every now and again, but it's all very straightforward in comparison to an all-wheel drive system, okay? On top of that, in real life, a front-wheel drive machine is relatively low maintenance. So here we have an R2 Ford Fiesta or a Fiesta ST with a roll cage, okay? This is basically straight from the Ford factory. Not much has changed, except maybe a suspension upgrade, some different wheels, maybe some components in the engine, but I don't know what's going on with this thing. But the roll cage is the big part. Otherwise, this thing is pretty close to factory. So, as we discussed, this only has power being delivered to the front two wheels. So, as a result, if we go into the tuning area and then go to differential, we can see it's only got one singular differential over the front axle that dictates how much power is being distributed to the left versus right front wheels. The higher the percentage your diff is, the closer that percentage is. The more open your diff is, the more the speed difference will be between the front wheels. Usually in a rally and an off-road setting, the more locked it is, the better, but in this game, default's usually pretty good. Now, something else to bear in mind, brake force, as you can see, has a bias between the front and the rear tires. Conventionally, in most cars, the brake bias is usually towards the front, and that's okay. When you apply the brake pedal, it's going to apply brakes to all four wheels, but it's going to apply more pressure to the front than it will the rear, which is why this bad boy is so magical, because it's a way to manually control the brake bias and move it towards the rear. You can use this to slide the back end out completely by yanking it, or you can use it to like gently transition through a corner. That's some pretty advanced stuff that you'll learn about later, but just FYI. So when you put the pedal to the floor, gas it, let go of the e-brake and drop the clutch, it's going to accelerate in a fairly straight line. It did drift a little bit to the left there. We're on a downhill slant to the left, that's why, but if we're on flat ground, like here per se, you can see are relatively straight. Front wheel drive cars are basically just gigantic metal lawn darts. They are very stable, they're very easy to learn. As a result, you can focus more on the race line versus grip line and the actual racecraft itself, okay? Like, these are very simple machines to operate because there's not a whole lot going on. They're very stable platforms. And again, they're not usually as fast. With these cars, Scandinavian flicks are going to be your friend, which is where you do this, and then you eat the tree. So a good example of understeer is this corner coming up, okay? So watch this. I turn the wheel, and the car is turning way less than I'm asking it to. You can even see it sliding to the outside. That is a beautiful example of understeer. Oversteer is this. It can be kind of tricky to get these things to oversteer, especially because in a caged car, there's more weight distributed throughout the body, and you also have a spare tire in the trunk. If you are in a stock Fiesta, you remove the back seat and you take out the spare tire and the rest of your car is empty, the back end weighs nothing. It'll bounce around all over the place. And then I'll use my magic e-brake button. You can clutch in and get the back end to slide, but you don't have to clutch in, you know, like you can just floor it and pull the e-brake. And then through here, understeer can be a good thing while accelerating. You just keep the gas pedal on the floor and then manhandle the wheel. You can get away with that in front wheel drive cars. That's not necessarily the case with rear wheel or all wheel. So here, I'll see if I can show a non-crappy example of the e-brake. Floor it, pull the e-brake, boom, you saw the back end slide. Mine's broken, I used my button instead. You can see the e-brakes being applied by looking at the little e-brake icon down there. And you can also see that my back wheel's locked up temporarily. One thing you don't really learn on these drivetrains is throttle control. So you're able to just mash it and get away with that, to be honest. Brake when you need, and then you get back on the throttle. Oh geez. Sometimes they fishtail like that, and honestly, I don't really get why. Now that we've done that, let's talk about all-wheel drive. We're going to use practically the same chassis. It's a Fiesta, but this particular one is manufactured by M Sport, okay? So Ford doesn't, I don't think Ford's ever really made all-wheel drive Fiesta straight from the factory. They've done that with Focus RSs. Those are all-wheel drive. RS stands for Rally Spec. All-wheel drive Fiestas are usually, you know, not natural creation. So again, the front differential dictates how much power is being distributed to the front left and front right tires. The rear differential, this guy, dictates how much power is being distributed to the left versus right rear wheels. And a center diff would dictate how much power is being delivered to the front versus rear axles. Okay? It's not always the same. In the case of this particular Fiesta, it has an active center differential, which means that the center diff, which we cannot control in this case, automatically decides how much power goes to the front versus rear, okay? It's not always fixed. Actually, it's very seldom fixed. That's how Subaru all-wheel drive system works. That's how Volkswagen 4Motion systems work, and I believe that's how the Quattro system works on the Audi. I'm not sure. I have to double check that. Again, usually you want your camera here, or even in the car. For the sake of this video, we're going to do chase cam. Now, this car also only has 5 gears, much like its 2-wheel drive version as well. There are some rallycross versions that have 6 gears, but you can see when we gas it, it went perfectly straight because now all 4 wheels are working with this, okay? It also accelerated a lot faster. All-wheel drive platforms are typically faster than front-wheel drive, and they're also way more agile, okay? This is the car I think I've spent the most time on in-game, to be honest, so this is going to be a much more entertaining drive. So you can see that getting this thing to slide is actually pretty simple. Yes, it understeers, but if you get enough sideways action, like that lift, turn, and brake thing on corner entry, you can achieve neutral steer, which is where, as you turn the car, you can keep the wheel straight, just like that. I forgot to talk about shift locking with the front-wheel drive car. The e-brake will lock up the back wheels, and downshifting without rev matching, just like that, will lock up the front wheels. But in an all-wheel drive car, shift locking, like that, will cause all 4 wheels to temporarily slow down without pushing the brakes. Now watch what happens when I crank the wheel and I gas it. That is neutral steer, just for a second there. That's what you want. So with these cars, you want to be sideways sooner than later because you're able to accelerate through the turn. That is a major advantage that all-wheel drive has over front or even rear-wheel drive. Rear-wheel drive, I mean, you kind of have to. Front-wheel drive, it's sort of optional. But yeah, all-wheel drive is just, all in all, much more agile. Like, you can do so much more with this. Like, I don't know how many Gymkhana videos are out there with a front-wheel drive car, but I doubt there's many. So with the e-brake, you'd want to clutch in, and then apply the e-brake, if that makes sense. I used my button because, again, my handle's busted. However, the concept is there. With many advanced rally cars, like this particular one in real life, as well as a lot of Subarus and I'm not sure. Most rally cars out there, you're able to apply the e-brake, and remember that active center differential? It will detect that the e-brake is being yanked and automatically disengage the rear wheels for you, so you don't have to worry about pushing the clutch. So, in reality, you're good to just gas it and apply the e-brake just like that. You don't have to worry about the clutch. If your car is hooked up properly, if you're not sure and you're starting out, it's a good idea to build the habit of anytime you pull the e-brake, apply the clutch before pulling. Okay? So with these, again, lift off the gas, turn the wheel, and apply the brake. You can get the car to slide pretty slick. Okay? The amount of control you have with this drivetrain is absolutely bomb. That being said, bear in mind it is also incredibly high maintenance, or it can be anyways, and usually a lot more expensive. Plus, if you're trying to turn a Fiesta into an all-wheel drive platform, it's going to cost you an arm and leg. Like, these are not natural things. You can do it, you can have it built, but man, that better be your dream car, or you better be loaded, or very rich, or something. I don't know, like, just find money. There's a reason these all-wheel drive platforms are considered the god tier, or professional, like, top tier of rally racing. They're the most agile, they have the most control, and honestly, they're just the coolest. If you're a beginner and you're just trying to figure out how to race in general, you might be better off going with an all-wheel drive platform just to get started. Then you can graduate to the all-wheel drive platform, where you'll be a lot more agile, you'll have a lot more speed, and honestly, you'll feel like a pro because it's what the pros use, you know? These R5 Fiestas, chef's kiss. They are just wonderful machines. So, if you want to see future videos, hit subscribe, hit like if you learned something. Alright, let's be real for a second. You are a noob. Embrace it. If you have any questions, drop a comment below, okay? If not me, then someone else within the community is going to be able to help you out, okay? This is a safe space to learn, safe space to ask questions. There are no dumb questions, and odds are if you're wondering something or don't understand it, you're probably not alone. So, thank you for being awesome and tuning in today. I'm Looney Lou. Stay tuned, my goons.